And now let's take some time for a quick quiz. Taking a look at this list of Intel Xeon Gold processors that are available from the Dell Configurator website for a T440 Tower PowerEdge, select which one of these processors has the most cores, which one of these processors has the most threads, which one of these processors does not have any symmetrical multi-threading, and which one of these is the fastest CPU core available on this list. Right, now let's look at the answers. Of these three CPUs available on this list, A has the most cores. It has 10 cores. B has 4 cores, and C has 6 cores. Accordingly, A also happens to have the most threads, 20. B has 8, and C has 6. Remember that SMT stands for symmetric multithreading, or otherwise referred to as hyperthreading in Intel CPUs. A quick way to see this is to count the number of cores versus the number of threads. A has 10 cores, 20 threads, so it does have symmetric multithreading. Likewise for B, but C does not. C is 6 cores to 6 threads, but there's also a hint here where it says no hyperthreading. So the answer to this one is C. And finally, the CPU speed is 2.5 GHz, 3.8 GHz, and 1.9 GHz. So the fastest CPU in this range is B. That being said, you can see it's quite evident that there's no clear outright winner of which CPU is the best. It will depend on your application. For example, A has the most cores, B has the least cores, and C has a balance and doesn't support hyperthreading. B runs those cores at a much higher frequency than A or C. So when you're selecting a CPU, you need to factor in whether your application that you're designing your system for will require high speed, lower core count, or perhaps slower speed, higher core count. And perhaps some applications might even benefit from hyperthreading or symmetric multithreading. Other interesting factors in this list include the cache, the thermal design power or TDP, and then finally, you might be interested in whether the CPU supports a turbo feature. You can see that A and B both support turbo, but C does not. And let's discuss briefly what turbo is. Imagine you have 4 cores in your CPU and they're each running at the same speed. With turbo, you're able to shift the voltage that's applied to these cores and perhaps reprioritize them to a single core, thus reducing the performance of these cores and boosting the performance of a single core upwards. This would be applying turbo to the CPU core. I should probably add this axis here, which is the CPU speed.